We welcome you to Blues Game Day Live alongside Kelly Chase, Darren Pang here in Montreal. There's nothing like it, and that's why we decided to do this this hit right outside the Montreal Canadiens locker room. And what a special place it is. Over my left shoulder, you can see the Stanley Cups that they have. They've got far too many.
24 to be exact, it looks like about here.
24 of them, yes.
24 Stanley Cups, and you hear that number and you go, wow, that's a lot, until you actually see the numbers and the runs that they've had. And, I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Yeah,
and the names on the cups, and, I mean, it's what a special place this is.
Yeah, it sure is. It's been a little dry. The last time they won, Patrick Waugh was here in 1993. When what a series that was against the Los Angeles Kings and Wayne Gretzky, and somehow Montreal was able to win like 10 overtime games that year, and really almost had no business winning that series other than a call in the second game for an illegal curved stick on Marty McSorley.
Yeah.
And then Desjardins scores a hat trick and scores in the game winner in overtime. But that's a long time ago for Montreal. Listen, they're playing better. I think when maybe some fans out there, they're thinking about Montreal. They struggled early. They've won their last 5 games. They got Carey Price back. They seem to have a little bit of swagger back in their game.
Well, the confidence in knowing that your goaltender is going to stop the puck is huge. But and as Steve Ott, who played here with Carey Price, said, listen, he's not the best goaltender in the league. He's the best player in the league. And he said, so, if we don't get to the inside and we think we're going to throw up 45 shots and we're not going to get inside on him for the second, third chances or screen him, he'll just beat us. He goes, because he's not letting in more than 3 goals, and he goes, that's a given, and he goes, and most nights it's 1, so you're going to have to really be at the top of your game, beat Carey Price. And when he starts feeling like this, it's a game changer. Talk to Mark Bergevin, and he's asking, was there health issues, was there this, was there that, and Carey just said to him, hey, listen, he goes, I'm not where I need to be, but I'm going to get there, don't worry. And now he goes, that was good enough for me. I didn't have to worry about anything else. He goes, he got back in the net. He got healthy, got back in the net, and here they are on a 5-game winning streak.
It's a bit of a tough city when it's not going well.
Oh boy, I'll say this is
the criticism, the demands.
Yeah, the criticism and demands are tough. But one thing that they have here is a strong ownership group. So Jeff Molson, has had the backs of both the GMs and coaches, and they've got the thing back on track here. Obviously, Carey Price is a big factor in that. But again, and then when you're talking about the St. Louis Blues, you're talking about a team that may have played one of their best games that they didn't win in the last game, throwing up over 40 again with Devin Dubnyk in net, who basically stole the show. For the second 2 periods of the hockey game, the St. Louis Blues had the puck the entire time. So it's just the way this game goes. You're going to have to work your way out of some of those slumps. I
really like the way that the Blues, especially their veteran, we'll call them the mature group on this team, Stastny, Steen, Sobotka. Boy, I thought they just had a heck of a game. I thought they set the standard for hard work and determination on pucks, and that filtered through the entire team in Minnesota.
Well, I think, and then, we've talked about Kyle Brodziak a lot lately because he's putting up some goals, but his intensity and his ability to track down pucks. And I asked him on the plane the other night, you were standing there, I said, hey, how much lighter are you right now? And he said, you know what, I'm just staying away from some of the simple things. He goes, like, you don't have as many beers as I used to have on a day off. I stay away from the sweets. I'm trying to keep, he goes, I'm only down about 4 pounds from what I was. But he said it makes a difference. And I remember Kirk Muller, who's the assistant coach with Montreal Canadiens, saying Mario Tremblay had told him that every year after 32, you got to be about 3 pounds lighter every year just to keep up with the pace of the younger guys. And it prolonged his career. And Kirk said that the last 4 years that he played, that was a difference maker for him. So Kyle Brodziak feeding off that a little bit, and he's one of those guys that's been tracking pucks and bringing that intensity every night. And I think it's starting to filter through on everybody again, because they lost their way a little bit with their intensity, and they certainly got it back the last game in Minnesota, even though the results weren't what they wanted.
Well, I found out that after the age of 50 as a broadcaster, we're supposed to limit that as well. But it hasn't happened.
It's only been a couple weeks for me, but I'm telling you, I can see what you're talking about.
So needless to say, we've had a lot of fun here in Montreal. A couple of days off. Even more exciting that Charlize Theron has been staying at our hotel. We haven't met her yet, but she's there.
It seems that the boys are more excited about.
That's the scoop for you right there.
Right. Yeah, Scotty Upshaw had mentioned that 3 or 4 times to me already. He's been hanging out in the lobby stalking her.
You mentioned Jeff Molson, and I was at this establishment yesterday afternoon, late afternoon, and called Ziggy's. I think you've been there once.
Oh, I've heard of it.
Yeah, and the owner Ziggy was telling me that that's where the deal was consummated. That's where the Gillette family sold the team to Mr. Molson, right in the back of old Ziggy's.
Well, and I went by their business school yesterday at Concordia, the John Molson School of Business for my son, who was looking
Your
at
son Will
joining the ranks of the Canadian universities.
Beautiful place.
A beautiful place.
I mean, I recommend it for Will to be here.
I'm actually going to get him a condo here.
And he's going to have
not going to get to stay in it. He's going to stay in the dorm.
That's great.
Great city.
That's beautiful stuff. Other news, we got Sammy Blais, obviously from around 3 hours from here. It's one thing to be a Quebec-born kid that loves the game of hockey and dreams of playing in the NHL, and not every Quebec-born kid, I'm sure, was in love with the Montreal Canadiens. Not every Ontario kid loved the Toronto Maple Leafs. Not every Western Canadian kid, I'm sure, loved Edmonton or Calgary or Vancouver. But this is special. Sammy Blais, he grew up just idolizing the Montreal Canadiens. Right. He grew up loving Alexei Kovalev and Saku Koivu, and he even mentioned the goalie at the time when he was a kid that made a Cristobal Huet. So it wasn't even a big-name goaltender, but I could have sat for hours talking to Sammy, and I could feel the passion in him. He's going to have 30 friends and family that are here. He's off the hook. He only has to buy a couple of tickets. He was fortunate about that one. Tickets aren't cheap here. But I'm just so excited for him. We all remember the first time we played in a place that we revered as kids. Maybe for you it would be Toronto. I'm not sure. For me, it was here in Montreal. The first time I played here, I thought I just walked into a cathedral of some sort.
Right.
It was just so wonderfully special, and it exceeded my expectations. And I think for Sammy, this is going to be something else.
Well, I love it. I think that anytime you get an opportunity to play in front of your friends and family, that's great. But when you put the history behind what's going on here in Montreal, it is an added special, feeling. Amazingly enough, for me, it wasn't so much the time that I played in Toronto. The first time, it was because I was very familiar with it, because Wendell Clark, being my best buddy, was drafted first overall. So it was to play there against him was great and everything. It was the first time I played for them. And my father-in-law, who was a huge Toronto Maple Leaf fan, he's in his 90s now, and he literally beat me to Toronto. I was flying from Hartford, and he was flying from Regina, Saskatchewan, and he was in Toronto before I got there. And
That's great.
What was great was he was so excited, and he got to walk around the old Maple Leaf Gardens and look at all the pictures, and he was just, you could not wipe the smile off his face. So for me, I understood, how it's one thing to have passion, about the game. It's another thing to be that excited about a team, and that meant so much to him. So that meant a lot to me. So I can see where Sammy is coming from, and I certainly hope that the kid has a great performance. It would be special if he could score every night.
Yeah, it would really be special, and especially against a goalie like Carey Price that's on fire right now. Mike Yeo, I think maybe being a former player, that Mike Yeo's dream was to be a National Hockey League player, and because of injuries and maybe undersized, but he had a huge heart, didn't make it to this level. But listening to Mike Yeo yesterday just talk about Sammy Blais was really special. I really liked the way he connected with it, and saying how they're, that the team's so happy that they're a part of it, and that this is a dream, and like he just spoke from his heart, maybe thinking, shoot, I wish that was me at one point. We all dream of being there, but right here. So
one thing about Mike Yeo, though, he has a huge understanding of what that means to be a part of something special like that, and he doesn't glaze over it and take it lightly. He knows that it's, like you said, he paid a price to try and make it to the league and fell a little bit short, and here he is coaching it, and he knows how special that is, and I think that's important as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to this game here tonight against Montreal. It's a 7:30 Eastern time, 6:30 Central time. I get that right every time, but it's, so don't mess that up at home. On Fox Sports Midwest, that means we start at 6 o'clock on the pregame show. 6:30 puck drop.
Start writing this down.
How about KMOX?
KMOX,
same thing.
Same exact time slot, buddy.
You looking forward to bringing it to the people?
Wait, I got Curbs with me. If I don't, he will.
I think Curbs was over at Gibby's last night again.
Weird.
They love that old Montreal, don't they?
Yeah, that's great.
It's been great reconnecting with a bunch of friends and seeing Kirk Muller, and I know Mark Bergevin and you were teammates, and he was my first roommate when I made it in the NHL. And
that's a whole nother show.
That's another show altogether. It's always good to see friends and being here in Montreal at this time of year. So, pal, let's go bring it to the people tonight, okay? So enjoy the game, and for Kelly Chase, I'm Darren Robert Pang.